Hello, everyone. I hope that you can see and hear me okay. I trust that if there are any issues, you'll let me know as soon as you can in the Q&A. But you are very welcome to the final installment of the DCU webinar week that we're running. So on Tuesday, we were covering new courses in our Faculty of Science and Health. Yesterday, we covered courses in engineering and in humanities and social sciences. And just to make sure you're on the right call this afternoon, we are going to be covering the new course in the DCU Business School, which is called Digital Business and Innovation. And we're also going to mention the new specialism that some students can take up in final year, which will be called Business Analytics. If you have any questions at all throughout the webinar today, please do use the Q&A box that's there. We have some really great panelists who are the best in the areas to tell us how these courses are going, what they're all about. So this is your time to ask questions if you do have any. So without further ado, I will add our panelists into the call, who, as I mentioned, are the best people to be telling you about these new courses, both academics and current students alike. So I will start adding them into the call. We have Professor Brian Harney, who's chairing our Digital Business and Innovation course. Brian, you're very welcome. And current student Cathal McFarland, who can give us an insight into what it's like to study the degree. We also have Jerry Cunningham from DCU Business School, who's looking after the Business Analytics specialism. Jerry, you're very welcome. And finally, Rory Mulhern, who is a business student who is hoping to take on that specialism in a year or two's time. So hopefully everyone can join the call okay. We've got Brian on screen, which is fantastic. And everyone else is free to turn on your cameras and microphones. Everyone's in okay? Brilliant. That's the hard part over for me, really, once we get the tech out of the way. But thanks so much for coming along. We might start off then with the new course that we have. So while the DCU Business School has many courses on offer, a lot of traditional business programs, we are taking a look at, what is new in the market, what are people researching, where are the careers in the future, which is our new course that's been designed, Digital Business and Innovation. So Brian, how are things? You might tell us a little bit about what's this course.
Hi, Sinead, how are you? Great to see the good weather today. And in terms of good news and good prospects, I suppose our new Digital Business Innovation degree is now in its second year. So it's very new. It's part of this DCU Futures initiative. And it's novel in the sense that it focuses on a digital quotient. So students get to embed themselves in emerging technologies, in analytics, in a broader understanding of the role of technology in the creation of value and also the destruction of value. And equally, it has the human quotient where you sort of focus on yourself and self-awareness and self-development, and learn about how you learn and reflect on learnings. It's innovative in a few different ways, I suppose. First of all, with the timetable, we look at block sessions, hackathons, virtual sessions. We take the chance to look at opportunities that are going on in the university, leverage ongoing talk. Last week or the week before, we had the group over, we got to visit Accenture, which is one of the partners on the degree, and they've offered sort of key inputs in terms of the design. So we're always working with our industry partners and our stakeholders to keep the content current and understand what those key technologies are, bring some of those challenges into the classroom. We have exciting modules like failure, Ireland's first module on failure, political failure, institutional failure, team failure, individual failure, or more importantly as well, learning from failure, psychological safety, speaking up. I mean, I've Cahill's here who can speak to the student experience of the course, but we have modules as well, say digital labs, which allow students autonomous learning pathways. So we're not going to tell you which technology you need to focus on. We're going to give you exposure to a little bit of everything and then say to you, what spikes your interest? Are you interested in the metaverse? Would you like to do your assignment or project on the metaverse? And speaking of assignments, there's no exams in this entire degree. It's 100% continuous assessment. We don't feel exams reflect real world circumstances. So we're embedding different types of continuous assessment, vlogs, pitches, traditional essays, presentations, virtual collaboration with Babson in the US. So a very exciting course, very practical, very connected with what's going on in terms of industry, and novel in terms of delivery and the skill set. So that's sort of a very brief overview, and happy to do a further deep dive as necessary.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. And for anyone who's listening who does want to know more about the course, please do let us know. But I might ask Brian, my own question is, I know it might be hard to predict right now, but what sort of careers would you envision the graduates of this course working in? Is it really diverse with all the skills they have?
Well, we use this line, Sinead, we're creating students for and enabling them for jobs that don't yet exist. And I know that sounds a bit sort of like a cheesy line, but actually we've had people come in. We had a guest speaker who's director in PwC come in recently, and her role didn't exist 2 years ago. So she actually spoke to that straight away. So look, we're going to have currency in terms of digital technology, consultancy and digital entrepreneurship. So obviously there's the innovation element of the course. And digitalization, we think of multinationals, but we can also think of the opportunities in small firms, entrepreneurial, digitalization of the public sector, infrastructure, national level. So there's plenty of opportunities. And equally, I suppose, what's really important with this degree is we're providing a platform for students to demonstrate and evidence how they learn.
Yeah.
So the technology will change. By the time our classes are in fourth year, first year, technology will be out of date. But the way they learn, the way they engage, and the way they reflect will stay current. And I suppose that's the key, because we think education is over when we get a job, and in some ways actually we're on the next level of education then, because you're learning on the job and learning how to learn. So there's the skill set, learning how to learn, that we're providing students with. And I think it's probably hard for me to predict. So as an example, we have a lot of students doing assessments this semester on ChatGPT, which didn't exist maybe last year, was only sort of coming to fruition in first semester, and now we've got live assessments on it. So we're really trying to keep that currency going, and touch points with industry and working with partners like Accenture, PwC, broad stakeholders enable us to do that.
Yeah, I think that it's very attractive for students who maybe look at, their idea of what business is, and they think, well, I'd like to work in the space, but I've no interest in maybe doing the more traditional roles. I want something tech-based, exciting, that maybe doesn't exist right now. So for any students listening, I would say, don't be concerned about a certain title, like a job title when you finish. Even we know that people graduating now, there's no real job for life. People are moving around a lot. And that's, I guess, a current theme throughout all the DCU Futures courses, are that those transversal skills, is that we're really looking for now kind of jack of all trades when we're going into careers, because of the rate of change with technology and all of that. And final question, Colin, again, one I've thought about myself. Is it okay if a student isn't great at, say, computing, or they don't have a huge knowledge of tech coming into the course? That'll all be taught, I imagine, once they're in first year.
Yeah, it's a great question, Sinead. Obviously, there has to be a passion and an interest, and that's important. So how you're using technology as a consumer of technology, and how business creates and society creates value from all these digital innovations. So I think that needs to be your sort of passion or your interest. But no, you don't necessarily need to have any background. And I would emphasize, this isn't a computer science, technical engineering degree. We're not going to get under the hood in terms of the technical details. What we're going to do is provide you an overview and an oversight of some various range of technologies, introduce you to coding. Jerry will talk about analytics, introduce you to different packages in terms of analytics. But you're not going to need to understand the technical detail, how they work. What we're focused on is, what's the potential that this can offer in terms of a business challenge or problem? And how can we link, I suppose, as a translator, the tech potential and the business opportunity? And that's the interface, I suppose, of where this degree resides. So yeah, no problem at all. And obviously DCU across the board, we're very strong in the business school in terms of induction, introducing students to the university context. So we're not going to throw everything at you either. We've a sort of a track record of success in terms of introducing ideas and bringing students into the equation. So no experience, no problem.
Yeah, and equally, I'd say, if you're worried about the business side of things, studying business in the DCU Business School is not an entry requirement for Leaving Cert. So you don't even have to be studying a business subject. So if you're just someone who has an interest in the space, maybe business isn't an option for you to study, or maybe it's only something you've become interested in now. It's not an entry requirement. So don't worry about having a really high level of it going in. You'll be taught exactly what you need to know. And if you did need to have a really high level, it would be an entry requirement. So that's your safety net. If it's not an entry requirement, don't worry about having a huge amount of knowledge in it. So we might pass the virtual mic over to Cathal now, and thank you, Brian, for that overview and insight. Cathal, what's it like to actually be studying a new course?
Yeah, I know it's very exciting. I have to say, it's the engagement and even the way the lecturers teach, all the different modules we have. And it's very future focused, and even like one of the most important things is there's that engagement with industry as well. So like you're going to be really, really employable by the end of the degree, which is something that is it's very, very important, especially when you're going. And the third year as well is a year-long work experience. So you're going to come out with not only an understanding of your fundamental business principles, so you could work in any kind of business oriented job, but you'll also be able to use technology, and you'll also have this 12 months of experience, and that will really stand to you as well. So you'll be able to apply what you learn, and you're applying what you learn throughout. You have your so many different engaging opportunities and experience throughout the course. Brian talked about there, we were over in Accenture. They're one of the leading technology consultant companies in the world. So they're coming out with all these exciting technologies like artificial intelligence. And there's a lot of stuff going on with social media and the emergence of TikTok now, and that's a big thing, and something very exciting. And there's so many different aspects of technology that are very exciting. And then linking that, I guess, with learning. So it's not just in the class learnings, and you're also kind of doing your own research. You're looking at stuff that's out there in industry, and you get to actually experience some of the stuff as well. So with virtual reality, we have the Condel's lab in DCU, and so you get an opportunity to kind of put on these virtual headsets and understand how these technologies can be impacted. So there's so many kind of stuff that's tailored towards the future. And like what Brian said, a lot of the jobs might not even be created yet. So it's that real kind of sense of excitement that you're getting. It's very future focused, and it's very relevant right now. Like whenever we were looking for our own placement for year three, and we really had an edge over some of the other courses. In terms of like the employers whenever you're giving the interviews, they had that real kind of excitement about the course, and how it's tailored towards industry, how it's tailored towards the future. And so it's very exciting.
Yeah, you study so much in the course, and as you mentioned, you've really got an edge. I mean, how many people are graduating from a business degree in Ireland alone every year? I mean, you really have a cool and niche area that you've a lot of knowledge in, and as you said, a lot of the traditional stuff you're covering as well. So even if you didn't want to go into kind of a futuristic job, you still have a really strong business degree if you wanted to kind of remain in that stream. Is there an area called that you're really liking in particular that maybe you didn't even expect to be studying as part of the degree?
Yeah, well, like the technology consultancy part is very interesting, on how once you look at it and see how they're using all these technologies, it's very, very interesting. Artificial intelligence, and then on all these different ones are coming out. They're so powerful, and they're like streamlining how businesses operate, and even with COVID and stuff. You could see how a lot of the stuff is shifting online. So that's a very exciting thing to kind of be looking at, is kind of how you can use technology to help businesses. So yeah.
Fantastic. And another question, if you don't mind me asking, you did mention briefly there the internships, and again, another huge draw of the DCU Business School, and this course in particular is a year-long paid placement, which again differentiates you from the crowd. What sort of job would you love to be doing for that year?
Yeah, so I'll talk about that briefly as well. So like some of the guys are going into eBay as kind of digital kind of consultants as well. So they'll be working on different projects. I was looking at Microsoft as well, going into their finance program. There's also KKR, which is a private equity kind of consultancy company. So they look at a lot of kind of huge finance investments, and then kind of there's a lot of technology and stuff involved with them as well. So that's actually where I'm going to go for my 12 months. It's in Dublin, and there's PwC as well, which they're technology consultants. So there's so many different opportunities there for the candidates. So
Yeah, and as our listeners can hear, you do have a choice as well. You're not just
Yeah.
assigned a role, where in some cases that might be the case, maybe in other universities, but in DCU, it's very much you get your whole portal of job opportunities and you can apply for whatever ones you want, whatever ones you think you would suit best, and then you interview, etc. So you have a lot of freedom to kind of, to decide where you'd like to go. Anyone who does have any questions for Cathal or Brian, please do pop them in the chat. I might ask Cathal one more thing, is that obviously it's a new course, and I guess you're kind of taking a leap in some ways when you were probably looking through your CAO, different courses. How did you decide that this was a course that you wanted on your CAO?
Yeah, so this was my first choice. So it was very kind of future focused. So I guess personally, I've always kind of had an interest in business, from a very early age, and being kind of entrepreneurial, and that kind of thing as well. But I just thought, with technology and the emergence of technology, I always find that very exciting. And then to bring that, you've such a solid foundation with business as well. And that, it was very foolproof choice for me.
Yeah.
And that, it's just so solid that you have this fundamental understanding of businesses, how businesses operate. And you go into marketing, you could go into consultancy, you could go into so many different fields, you go into management. But then also these technology, the technology that the companies are using, to kind of, with social media, with even AI, and even all the different aspects, even data analytics, which Jerry might touch on as well, is so important. And we get an overview of everything in the course, and we get like a real kind of insight. And it's very future focused. And like I said, there's that kind of engagement with industry, and then you're also engaging with different kind of and like learning environments. So you have like simulations and stuff. So like for teamwork, we kind of had like a simulation where we had to kind of climb Mount Everest as a team, and then there's simulations of kind of running your own company. And there's a lot of different hackathons, which are like you kind of create your own company. So like it's really the opportunities that you're going to get, and how tailored the the course is to companies, and then the business environment is what really kind of sold it for me. So you get your business, and then you're also getting like an understanding of technology, which is only going to become even more important over the next couple of years. So you can kind of really provide value to companies and become as employable as you can really be after a 4-year course.
Yeah, so you definitely did your research, which is what I'm hearing, which is what all of our prospective students should do. All of the information about what you're going to be studying, where the potential internships are, and career pathways. It's all available online and on webinars like this, where we're getting insight from people actually studying the course, actually lecturing on the program, and things like that. So thank you so much again to Brian and Cathal. You might stay around for a few minutes online just in case people do pop in any questions. So for anyone who wants to ask, they'll still be hanging around, which we are very appreciative of. So we might move on then to the next, it's not a whole course, but it's a specialism. So when you do our business studies degree or business studies international, you have a chance in final year to specialize in an area of business, which is very exciting. And we used to have 5 specialisms, so we've added a 6th new one, which is called data analytics. So with Jerry, I'll pass the microphone over to you. I feel like data and analytics are terms we're hearing a lot of nowadays, but maybe people don't have clarity on what is that exactly. So how does it work in terms of a specialism?
Okay, well, I think, the genie's out of the bottle now in terms of data and it's the role it plays. I mean, and, the various different descriptions of data being the new oil, etc. And data being as important as people is another line of argument, but I'm not sure I would go that far. But data is central to all organizations now. And having those key skills, being able to manage data, being able to analyze data, being able to visualize. And I think particularly for the cohort we're looking at, being able to use all that information and to use that effectively to create value in a company. And that's where we'd be looking at, is not just to teach students the technical side of things, but actually to show them how that's applied in business, and to find those the sort of students we'd be looking for, where we'd expect them to go is kind of that gap between the sort of business function and the technical people in the organization, because we're not going to try and, this is not a programming degree, it's not a statistics or a maths degree, but we're going to give the students sort of key skills to allow them to kind of bridge that gap between the two. Just to kind of give students an idea of the kind of the route through the program. In first and second year, all of our business students, including Cottle's group and Brian's degree, will get the fundamental sort of analytics skills you require. So we redesigned the business degree in the last couple of years, and we brought in some very innovative modules, and that Cottle's touched on some of them, and we also have critical thinking. But one of the big areas we changed was our analytics delivery. And so all students, no matter what specialism they take in final year, will get a very deep grounding in the key skills you require. And, some of that is the statistical skills, there's Excel skills, SQL, some visualization skills, etc. I won't go through the list. So we start off in first year with sort of a grounding, and we start off from ground zero. And in second year, we build on that. And in the second half of second year is where we start to try and give students some options, some choices, because analytics is such a big area, even within business, even business analytics. It's too big for us to teach everything. And Brian touched on this earlier. We're just going to teach you how to teach yourself in terms of this sort of the analytics skills. So in the second half of second year, we allow students actually to take control of their learning. And to give you a sense of that, so some students might feel that they don't want to go very technical. They might be going into maybe fields like marketing or HR. And so what they can do is they can, certainly a marketing student might focus on sort of Google Analytics skills and web analytics skills. But they can also focus on things like sort of visualization skills and how you effectively communicate the results you get from your data analysis. So they might go down that path. You can also say maybe look at, say, how analytics is used in finance. So maybe a student who wants to go into finance at the second part of second year will say, okay, well, I'll start looking at how finance is applied and what specific skills do I need to bring, or etc. And then the one cohort that obviously we're talking about today will be that group of students who feel that they really enjoyed the analytics modules and the skills, and that they'd like to go a little bit further and go a little more technical. Okay. And we noticed over the years that we had a number of those students. So that's where the business analytics specialism is sort of comes from. So at the end of second year, you start identifying those students who want to or feel like they would go down that direction, and we will point them in sort of direction of, say, Python or SQL, and get them to improve their technical skills. But you still don't have to make that decision till final year. Okay, and that's why I think that the sort of the options based, the choice based in second year is really useful for not just in analytics across. Brian mentioned it, we do that in a lot of modules. And when you come back in your final year, that's when you make your choice. And as you mentioned, we have already 5 specialisms: HR, marketing, operations, economics and finance, and the business analytics is the 6th. So in your final year, so you don't have to make the decision until you start final year, you can choose to move into business analytics. And that's where you go to sort of more technical area. And some of the modules you'd be looking at would be sort of managing data projects, and that would involve sort of managing people and information in the cloud. You would also go and learn some programming languages. So you would now start maybe focusing a bit more on things like Python and SQL and Power BI. So we'd expect you to gain those extra technical skills. And as I said, you know, at the end of this, you're still going to probably end up in a business function. So you could still end up in marketing or finance or HR, but you're going to be that person in that function who is either managing the data analytics element of that function, or is that kind of liaison person between the technical side of the house and the business side of the house. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think, you know, the advantage of this specialism and from the students who've already sort of developed skills in second year, and the end of second year, we get them to produce a portfolio And many of the students have used this portfolio for their their third year jobs applications. They found it's given them a little edge, particularly those students who've developed, a big sort of suite of skills. And I think, that the analytics skills are such a core part of every job now, that, having strong analytics skills is going to give you a little edge in whatever career you go into, in any of the sort of business functions. And particularly, I think, getting confident with the technology and developing a sort of a system of learning, because Brian's mentioned it, Carl's mentioned it, in my area particularly, every year I have to upskill. If I don't, I'm going to find myself a long way behind my students, and I'm in some areas I probably am behind my students. So there's no way I can keep ahead of every now technology. So it's just having that confidence to be able to build up your skills. Into an organization, you'd be expected to do that, and so some of the new technologies, like particularly Power BI, which is probably the most widely used data visualization tool, that's only 3 or 4 years. So we've only started introducing it, but already it's in a large number of the big organizations are using this as a central tool. So trying to keep up with that, and you need to have sort of the knowledge, the ability to learn how to develop your digital skills yourself. So that'll be a key finding. But in terms of people who choose the business degree, I think it's a fantastic degree. We could talk all day long, but Brian and Carl have mentioned some of the core elements in DBI. A lot of that also would relate to our business degree, and this analytics specialism for those students who take the program and feel that they would like to just improve their sort of business analytics skills and go down the kind of a more technical route.
Yeah, that's it. I think you hit the nail on the head, Jerry. I mean, data, we've never had more of it, and it is expected to have some knowledge of it in whatever area or industry you work in. And I'm sure the business analytics specialism will become a very popular one for students to go into in the business school. A question from your perspective, as someone who, lecture on it, how strong would your maths need to be? Do you need to be that way inclined, or is it just the determination, to learn?
I think it's just about a confidence, but there's very little mathematics and statistics. We don't go into the theories. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
It's a very, very applied course. So when we do any modeling, when we do any analysis, we're using statistical tools to do that. Now, it is important, and we do give some basic statistical skills around probability and statistical significance, etc., and that you do understand that you do understand what techniques can do. And particularly important, I think, for business graduates, whether you're producing analytics or whether you're consuming analytics, is to understand what it all means, okay, and how it can be applied. So I think that's a really key sort of part of what we try to do. But it's not a computing and mathematics course. So, you're not expected to prove any mathematical theorems, to develop any sort of math. So you can get through here with a confidence, being open-minded to the statistics and analysis. So you need to understand the language of it, and you need to be open to looking at a set of figures, looking at a set of tables, even a set of equations, and being open to understand what it's telling you. But you're certainly not going to be expected to derive any equations.
That's great. Thanks. So for any students listening who, have an interest in business analytics, you don't need to be great. You don't need to know coding. You don't need to know business. You'll be taught everything you need to know. As Jerry said, be open-minded. And this is an area that is just growing every single day. And businesses are absolutely going to be needing, graduates with this specialism. And, some of the comfort thing as well is that, DCU wouldn't be developing specialisms in areas that didn't have any employment prospects. That would be ridiculous to do. So the fact that this has been added in means there is a demand out in industry for it. We're very in touch with what are our employers looking for, and which is why we have such a great ranking in the graduate employability rate as well, is because so many of our students are getting internships in areas that are very similar or having specialisms in growing areas. So Jerry, thank you so much for that. We'll pass the virtual microphone over to Rory now. So Rory, you are thinking about going into business analytics for your own specialism.
Yeah, so I'd be looking at going into business analytics. Really this last semester in second year, I kind of really got into real interest in it. You're kind of told you can learn what you want. You can go and look at HR, finance, marketing, or anything. So when I came into the business course, I was looking at specialising into finance, and then from this, the modules that Jerry has taught in business analytics and then applied analytics in second year, it's kind of really sparked my interest into analytics and seeing how those tools can be used in different forms of the business.
Brilliant. And are there kind of group projects or anything like that that you took part in? Do you think there's a few people that are kind of thinking of this specialism now?
Yeah, from speaking around to a lot of people I know in the course, a lot of people find that they're very interested into it. It's a lot of us didn't know anything about analytics really coming into it. All we knew really was our statistics and secondary school. But coming into it, even looking at their internships that they're doing next year, a lot of them are going into analytics stuff where they have to have a basic knowledge in analytics for them. So I think it's a real no-brainer really for people who have the ability to do something like that, to go into the specialism.
Yeah, fantastic. Are you thinking about taking an internship then, Rory, or are you going to go straight through to final?
So I'm doing an intern myself. I actually didn't know this beforehand, but I'm going into KKR as well as Colin. So
brilliant.
Something I didn't know beforehand. But there's a lot of different interplacements you can do. There's ESB, Microsoft, any of the big four. So there's really anything for anybody who likes whatever part of business they'd be interested into.
And it's great that, as you said, you were considering, say, finance when you came in. Not only did you kind of change your mind, but you can still end up working in finance with, your business analytics specialism. It's not that if you choose one route, you're committed to that for your whole career. The whole point is that you're learning skills, I guess, that you can apply anywhere. And as a matter of interest, did you do any business subjects for your Leaving Cert or computing or anything like that?
Yeah, so for my Leaving Cert, I did business and accounting. Computer science wasn't offered in my course, but people said it helped them a bit when they come into the degree. But I've many friends who didn't do any business courses or anything, and they're probably doing better in the degree at the moment than myself. So it really shows that you don't really need to do any business courses or anything during your Leaving Cert.
Yeah. Exactly. And, they'll, even if you haven't done business, it's fine. You'll be taught everything that you need to know. Thank you so much. Some fantastic insights there on different specialisms. And again, I think the message is to keep open-minded, have a look at the different careers that are coming down the road, but also know that there are jobs that you might be working in the future that don't exist yet, but studying in these areas, whether it's a whole course, digital business and innovation, or looking at a specialism like business analytics, the whole point is that you can work in a wide range of careers with the knowledge that you have. So thank you very much to our panelists. Brian had to head off a little bit early, so he's not here to thank, but thank you so much for your time. I know it's mid prepping for exams and exam season and correction season for our academics. We really do appreciate your time, and thank you everyone who tuned in. If you do have any questions, I'm going to remain on the call for a few minutes, but our panelists, you're free to head off. Enjoy the rest of, well, it's a sunny evening in Dublin anyway, which has been a rarity in the last few weeks and months. So thanks again for your time. Thanks for all of our attendees, and yeah, I'll hang around for a few minutes if there are any questions. So see you soon.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See ya.